So your new RS has just been delivered. You're trying to figure out, do I PPF? Do I ceramic coat? Do I do both? So we're here today to talk to some experts to help demystify that for you. Stay tuned. Here today we're with the owner of Esoteric Detail, Todd, and then Dan, who's like the master of paint protection film. At least every video I see, Dan's the one applying the film. And then Zack, who's been awesome to work with on my cars when I brought my cars up to Esoteric Detail. And then behind the camera is Wes, who's here as well, trying to keep everything in order for us today. Let's go ahead and let's get started and just jump in. And I thought maybe, Todd, we'd just take a few minutes and just talk about like how Esoteric came to be and, you know,
Sure.
how and when you started the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to. One thing, just a little clarifier. Actually, we're all three owners in the business.
Ah, great.
I
Thank you.
founded the business. Zack and Dan joined on about 2.5 years ago as partners in the business. And it's nice because we kind of have three divisions within the company and each run a different division. Dan is responsible for all the service side of things. Zack is responsible for the e-commerce, and I'm responsible for the education or the training courses that we have. Plus, then I just do whatever these guys tell me that needs to be done. And
Ooh, is that fun?
there. Yeah.
You guys like that?
He's a busy man.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So basically, it goes back to about 2007. Actually, it goes way back to about the 70s when I started working with bicycles and love having everything clean and just so. And then always had it as a passion. And, you know, getting back in 2005, 6, 7, I really started, you know, kicking it up a notch, my interest in detailing. And I was a regional sales manager in the motorcycle business. I was traveling all the time. I worked in the motorcycle business for 22 years. And I'd come home, I'd work on one car per weekend, and I'd go travel all week, and I kept repeating that. And it decided that I wanted to, why did I want to start Esoteric is because there was nobody doing anything that at the level that I was looking at for myself, and I knew there was a lot of other people out there that wanted a very high level of service. And started getting connected with some great customers and talking to people about the possibility of doing this as a full-time deal, and made the decision after a couple of years to do that, to close the chapter in the motorcycle business and focus on detailing. But when I did, I knew that it wasn't going to be just another detail shop.
Okay.
I wanted to create something completely different, and knew I wanted to have the high-end detailing, knew that I eventually wanted to do training and have product distribution, because that's what I was involved in on the motorcycle thing. So that's kind of the when and why. And then this facility here moved in January of 2012. It was really it was just me at the time. This was a shared facility. It was a independent Ferrari mechanical and restoration shop. And I had one bay back here in the corner was all I was working out of. And then in a very short period of time, you know, we were growing really fast, and they moved out. We took over the whole place. Dan found his way here via our detailing academy. He was out on the West Coast.
Oh, okay.
He came out, attended the academy. 8 or 9 months later, he was moving out here to really get things up and running with paint protection film. And then not long after that, you know, Zack came in one day and you know, offered to, you know, kind of work over spring break when he was finishing up college, and then that turned into summer work. And then after he graduated, he came on full time, and we've just been working really hard since then, building up a great team of people. I mean, Esoteric isn't just, you know, me or us by any means. You know, we've put together a fantastic team over here over the years to grow up to where we are now. So.
Yeah, I saw that when I was, you know, before we started filming. I saw the crew, the gang was kind of wrapping up for the day, and I'm just watching the people go through, and I'm like, wow, they've got a team in here. You know.
Yeah, it's just been constant growth year after year, and you know, it's funny because the other day I was teaching a class, and I came out in the shop real quick, and there was 2 brand new faces out in the shop, and I'm like, man, That's awesome. You know, you get to the point where, you know, you got new people starting that you weren't even aware of. And Dan's been the one spearheading all of that stuff. The service side of things has been growing like crazy. The product side of things have been growing like crazy too. So we've been very.
Yeah, I was
fortunate.
admiring some of the stuff out in your, you know, the product, the wheels, and other, you know, the stuff. Everything you use, I assume, you know, you're selling out there, and then you have a series of videos. One question was, when you got started, was it like self-taught? Were you going to some academies or some training, or you just said,
no, I'm
going to kind of figure this stuff out?
Yeah, no, I know one way of doing things, and it's kind of going big at whatever I do, and I was self-taught, and at that time, things were just starting to come along online. There was a bunch of videos and things back then, and I just spent countless hours like in the garage testing and figuring things out, and that stayed with us till today. We're still constantly testing things and trying products and trying new processes and using testing equipment that allows us to you know, really figure out what's working best, so it's not, you know, so subjective. We don't just look at it and go, yeah, that looks good. You know, we've got equipment that we can quantify exactly what kind of differences that we're getting in it. So we will continue to be that way in terms of always trying to find the next level of the way we do things.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And, you know, so the services, you know, I brought up, I guess, 3 cars that I can think of, a .2 GT3, a .1 RS, and a .2 RS up for services. So I know, you know, we have paint protection film, we have ceramic coating, we have paint correction if needed. So can you just run through, like, what are some of the services, you know, that you guys offer up with regard to taking care of?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we try and do is just like when you first called, we try and assess exactly what you're looking to have done, and then we meet a certain service offering to meet those needs. And so with every car, if someone wants paint correction, it's very much based on the condition of the car.
Right.
We can generally polish every car and make it better. Is it worth it on a car that's, you know, $30,000 for someone to spend $2,000 on paint correction? No, not necessarily. But if someone's got a Bagati, and they want it to be absolutely perfect before putting protection on, yeah, we definitely probably want to do that. So the whole idea is to make it as perfect as we can get it, and then protect it with the combination of paint protection film and protective coating. So it is very much a conversation of understanding what you want and then meeting those needs as best as possible. And there's constraints, you know, everyone's got constraints of whether there's a budget involved or there's a time constraint, or those are all things we work around. Shipping it from across the country, those are all things that we help you with along the way before the car even gets here. And that's about that customer experience. Just, you're a great example. Cars are going to come and go.
Yeah.
You're going to have another car down the road that you're going to want, and that one's going to go. You don't look forward to that day, certainly.
No, I know. And it's like, am I doing this for me, or am I doing it for the next guy? Because that always comes up too, you know.
For sure.
Am I doing it for me? You know, in like when I did the yellow car, the GT3, it was, you know, there was a budget, right? So like, I remember we didn't do the doors, we didn't do the bumper, you know, well, all right, we got to do the front, A-pillars, the rocker, you know, the rear quarter panel. And then you guys also do, you know, there's other services like I wanted to get the windows tinted. I was like, well, you know, I don't want to take it from one shop and go to the other shop. And you guys were like, well, we can handle, you know, the window tinting. You guys applied the graphics for me.
Yep.
And I remember one time, like, you guys were doing some track setup for some guys, like doing stuff with their car. So what are some of the other things you do, like with regard to, you know, other services, you know, brakes, springs?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started out with our core services. That's paint correction, paint protection film, protective coatings, window tinting we're really picky about. Again, as Todd mentioned, we've all had experiences elsewhere of what other shops are doing for the most part and what the norm is, and we always want to exceed and do better. So window tinting is a great example that we just take a deep dive into everything, and we're testing films, we're testing different application or installation processes. So consider that our core services, and then what else do we do as a one-stop shop? We partner with the best engineered wheel companies, suspension, exhaust companies. If you want to get into performance tuning, we've got people in our 6 degrees of separation here that are really, really well tuned in doing that type of thing. So we try and offer up those core services to people, and then for anything outside of that, we've got great partners. So if you want a set of unbelievable wheels, Forge Line is an hour and a half away from us.
Yep.
And they say that there's more Forge Lines on a track a weekend than any other sets of wheels. HRE is regarded as probably, from a style perspective, the best company in the world. And so those are just two examples of a handful of people that we use. If you've got something specific that you want, we lean on them to do the engineering, and we provide that as a resource.
Yeah, I've got Mayor and I've got a relationship, with Patrick Moran, I think it is, Patrick and Jorge down at HRE.
Yeah, I think we started when Andy got here. We were talking in the back office about what really differentiates us is that we truly treat every car as if it's our own. Right. And to that point, when we get the new iteration of a model, we were talking about the 992, we experiment and we try different things that most people wouldn't ever entertain. Todd had a Z06 a couple years ago, and we've got pictures of that car completely disassembled, literally down to the only panels that were left were those that were welded or somehow permanently fastened to the car. That's the kind of experience that we've got to push the limits of protection and appearance and aesthetics to mesh those together, whereas most people, what are they going to do? They're going to just do the bare minimum. To Todd's point, we never do anything to do what's only adequate. We want to go well above and beyond that.
Quality is one piece, right? And to me, that's that's important. And what I'd like to do is I want to pivot to Dan here, because I watch the videos, I see you in there, how meticulous you are. But the question I have to ask you is, so I've seen videos where you're doing the Bagati, the Veyron, or you were at that one client's car barn with the La Ferrari rotating on a wooden platform, and you're over there doing paint correction and then the film. So for you, are you just applying film, it's just a car, or do you ever go, this is a $3 million car? Tell me about that experience for you, doing the application.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be surreal at times, but you're doing your job, right? At the end of the day, there's no real difference between me applying film on this Corvette or another type of car. There's different curves and there's different, panel compositions and sometimes different paint application methods, but, the technique of installing film is all the same. You're concentrating your stretch, you're working it over a panel, you're minimizing debris, you're minimizing any sort of work defects. The same principles hold true. Okay. So when you focus on those principles, the car, it matters, of course, right? When we're down in Texas and we're working on, the lowest mileage, highest valued F40 in the world, and you're polishing paint, you're removing paint off the surface of that car, that's nerve-wracking, of course. Any human being touching that car, it's a piece of history. There are times where you have to take a step back and say, hey, this is your job, and focus. But with film application, there's not really anything you can do to hurt the car during the application process, right? You can put pressure on yourself to make sure that you're installing at an excellent level, but we do that all day. And another major point of differentiation for us, kind of backstep for a second, is we have very specific jobs here. Everybody specializes in 1 to 2 very unique things within our business. And when we talk about experimenting on cars or figuring cars out, we're doing it all with very talented and trained professionals. So if we are disassembling a car, we have a Ferrari master mechanic on staff. He's the only one that touches the cars. He's the only one that takes off the wheels. He's the only one disassembling. He's the one organizing parts to make sure that everything gets put back together at the correct torque spec. So we don't have 15 employees walking around taking apart things.
Just grabs a wrench and says, oh, let me go do this.
And to that point, let me add to that. We did a collaboration with Ed Bolian of with his Scuderia. And we found different fasteners on one side of the car than on the opposite side of the car. How does that happen? That means whoever in Maranello was just pulling parts and I think that's good enough and we'll just piece it together. So some of the stuff we're fixing, Andy, our mechanic, does a fantastic job, to Dan's point, of making sure that we stay organized. And there's some cars we put back together in better shape than we actually took them apart. Really funny to say, but that's the nature of that type of expertise.
Yeah, and that was something, you and I were speaking to off camera earlier about the quality of the work, right? And there's a lot of folks out there now, you open up the yellow pages, all right, detailing, who can do PPF, and they're all over the place, right? But it's around the quality. And some people, I say, I'm a believer in you get what you pay for, right? And some folks may not want to make the big investment. Others may want to make that investment. But I know when I bring my car here that it's going to get done right. And I know, Mayor, you know this as well, when I bring my car to places and people see my car and they're just like, they know that it wasn't just done at some other place. So I think that quality is important. So one of the things, I'm going to just pivot here for a moment. One of the things I was talking about in the intro was, Mayor and I are walking through a series of folks, from, I got the allocation to doing my bill to tracking the delivery. Now the car's coming in and I want to do something to protect this investment. How can you help folks understand, like, do I do film? Do I want to do ceramic coating? And, maybe you can help with folks. Here's when you may do one over the other, or why you would do both.
Really, we boil it down to what level of protection are you looking for and what are your intentions with the car, right?
Okay.
We start out with, one, how long are you keeping the car? And two, what are you looking to do with the car? Because those really dictate, one, the level of investment, and two, kind of what direction we're going to steer you in. So we try to have a conversation, as Zach said earlier, an individualized conversation with everybody that comes in the store. We're not going to automatically say you need a full wrap and ceramic coating and paint correction. If you're going to keep the car for more than 3 years, film has value to it. That's rock chip resistant, impact resistant, durable layer of protection against your paint, especially if you're getting into the GT worlds,
right?
And paint to sample worlds. It's very hard to get back to original paint matching, and it's a very expensive car, so it's worthwhile. Where we'll steer with ceramic coating. Ceramic coatings are fantastic products, but there's a lot of misinformation on the markets right now, especially with more people being exposed to it and more people applying it. So paint protection film is great for rock chip resistance and kind of preservation of your paint long term. Ceramic coatings are really great for self-cleaning capabilities. And what that means is when you wash your car on the weekends, is it easy to wash your car? Do you want it to be easy to wash your car? Coatings have value there. They will make it easier for you to clean that car up going forward. And then the paint correction, we assess that on an individual basis. We never automatically say, oh, you have this car, you need paint correction. We bring it in, we wash it, we decontaminate the car, and we do assessment. And we recommend what type of service will bring you value for your car and what you're looking to do long term. So those are the three real main services that we offer.
Got it.
Regarding cars, and those combination of services can be done at any level. Meaning, you can do full correction, full paint protection film, and a 5-year plus coating if you want to go all out, or you can do different levels of each one of those to put together a fantastic result.
Awesome. No, that was helpful. Mayor, do you have anything would you like to add, or
what would you specifically recommend? What sort of film? There's a lot being made of these self-healing films. There's a lot being made of, to get expelled or not, or one's shinier than the other, and all the rest of it. And it's confusing. It's a bit of a minefield, frankly.
Yeah, we get this question all the time. And it's a lot of times it comes from people who are out of state. They may not be our customers, but they see a lot of information from us about it, so they reach out. And the first thing we always respond with is, don't focus on the film, focus on the installer. A great installer can take mediocre film and make it look fantastic. A mediocre installer can take the best film. Let's say we live in a utopia and there's one utopia film that is the greatest thing since cotton candy, and that mediocre installer can make it look very mediocre or worse. So focus on, legitimately interview the people who you're going to send your car to, and see to what you talked about earlier, Mayor, is what kind of history do they have with that type of car? How often are they working on technically challenging cars? Go and see their work in person. That's what we always encourage people to do, is just come. One, we can meet them and put a face to a name, but also they can come and see our work. You want to come and verify for yourself? We've got 5 cars here with any number of paint correction services or paint protection film or coatings or window tint, and we'll walk you through it. Other people who are out of state, what do? We've got hundreds of galleries from the last 5+ years, hundreds and hundreds. You want to know how many Ferraris we've worked on? I'll put together an email with 15 links of galleries of 100 pictures each of all the Ferraris we've worked on. We've got people who call us up, what color should I get? Well, I'm leaning towards a certain color. Well, here's all the yellow Ferraris we've worked on over the years. You can pick from that. We got better galleries than Ferrari does on certain colors. I use that only as an example to say, focus on the person who's doing the work. If they're really excellent, you'll pick it up very quickly, and they'll give you the right information. More than likely, they're not going to focus on the products. They're going to focus on really great work and really great prepping of the cars, prepping the paint properly, focusing on their efforts, which really produce great end results, rather than just, putting a patterned kit of film, regardless of the film, and it will be what it is.
Yeah,
there's nothing more.